As an entrepreneur, I'm such an advocate for everyone to think like an entrepreneur. Whether you want to start your own business or not, it's incredibly helpful no matter what. And so thinking like an entrepreneur inside of organizations, or if you are starting your own business, I always say, I love to tell the people around me to do this. Close your eyes and take a minute and think about how you would be doing your job if nobody showed you how to do it. What surfaces? Because if you think about it, we're all on autopilot. We're doing things the way either someone else showed us how to do it or we saw and learned from watching. And real change only happens when you do it different than everybody else. So all the time I put myself through mental exercises where I'm like, wait a minute, I know everybody's been doing it this way for a really long time, but is that the best way? And I just see what comes up. I also come across ideas and inventions by going throughout my day, looking at objects and saying, now, how could that be better? And why did the person who first created the gum which gum to me is so fascinating. As someone who started a brand with $5,000, had to get an idea out there that didn't already exist, the footless pantyhose. I love to think about people who first introduced things to society, and I think about the guy who did gum. I'm like, you want to talk about, like, can you imagine? I thought I had it tough. This guy's like walking around going, you just chew it. You just put this wad in your mouth and people are probably like, and then what? Don't swallow it, you just chew it. Like, that's a pretty hard sell, at first. And I think that gum had no flavor in it when it first came out, so that's even crazier to me. But everything from the pencil to the fork to the chair we sit in to the car that we drive, somebody originally had the thought and brought it forward to society. So get off autopilot, look at everything, every object in your life, the way that you do things. When you get up and brush your teeth, is there a better way to brush your teeth? Is it the right way to be doing it? And see what comes. So I started Spanx with $5,000 in savings from selling fax machines door to door in Clearwater, Florida for 7 years. And I started it out of the back of my apartment. I had never taken a business class. I'd never worked in fashion or retail, but I was determined to make this one particular undergarment for myself and women that filled a much needed void in fashion. And it was the most challenging the first 2 years to get it made because no one took me seriously. I heard the word no for 2 solid years. I actually was calling all the hosiery manufacturing plants, and I ended up taking a week off of work and drove around North Carolina in person, begging these people to help make my prototype and my idea. And so there were many, many times in those first 2 years when I wrote my own patent. I went to Barnes & Noble and bought a book on patents and trademarks. I created the packaging on my friend's computer after work. I thought of the name Spanx sitting in traffic in Atlanta and went home and trademarked it with my credit card for $150. But all of this time I was doing it, I wasn't sharing it with anybody. None of my friends or family knew what my idea was. And that was really important to my journey because I didn't want to share the idea just for validation, because I wanted to make sure that I spent any time I had pursuing it instead of defending it and explaining it. And I think so often, so many times, people have an amazing idea. I mean, you have $1 million or $1 billion idea in your life, and the first thing you want to do is turn to your right or left at work and tell a coworker, tell your friend, tell your husband, your wife, and out of love and concern, you get a lot of feedback that stops that idea right in its moment that it happened. And but for me, because I wasn't using a support system on those times that I had doubt, I ended up I listened to a lot of inspirational and motivational lectures, and I would second guess myself. I'd put those tapes in, I'd drive around, I'd have to give myself pep talks. I mean, it was a real back and forth for me to keep believing in myself when no one else was.